Okay, so Insight, great. Autodesk built it in there. Cards, interactive, live, up-to-date information. So let's talk about this data. The data that you're getting, for example, this is one of the cards. These are all project RFIs sorted by due date. There are multiple pages to click through. It shows you the oldest. It's limited detail. There's the number, the title, and the due date. There's no story here. There's no risk analysis. There's no visual comparison. Nothing telling me the larger picture here. But more consumable cards are available. There are some counters to this though. If I click on this title right here, it is going to take me directly to that RFI. However, some of these cards will give you a better picture, such as active versus closed. So we can see that my trend is staying roughly the same. We're keeping up with the demand at the same pace. Maybe not so great, but we are. You can also see when the RFI activities were happening, and when you hover over it, it gives you the number that were created in that specific area. You can see there's our overdue RFIs and submittals I pointed out earlier, and there's our construction IQ. High risk factors, design coordination, MEP, and structural RFI. So when it's tied to those disciplines, it's going to pull that information in. I have almost as many documentation errors and some code compliance. So with my documentation errors, design coordination, and code compliance, I might evaluate either who the designer is or who the designer's consultants are and figure out what's going wrong and how can we account for that on the next project we work for with them. Also, I have no idea if this is a low or a high number because this is just our test project where we click whatever we feel like as we do demos and training. So kind of fun. Okay, so this is a Power BI dashboard of RFIs. This tells us a lot more information. So average days to close an RFI by project. So how are these projects being so much more successful than the others? And this is a list of projects and then the disciplines. So we can see which projects have the RFIs by discipline. We can see total counts of RFIs by projects and average days to respond. So what's the story here? Which projects are struggling? So therefore, where can we shift or dedicate an extra resource to for a little bit? Which disciplines have the most RFIs? So that'll help us correct our budget and schedule. And we need to investigate why those times are high. So this is the most overdue RFI. Granted, these are just test ones, so we could filter those out, absolutely. But then here's signage power. That's over 300 days in a year. That's over like 365. It's almost 2 years old. I can math. Remember at the beginning I said don't make me math, and here I am trying it. So there's a there's a story there. Did somebody just forget to mark that it was closed, or is there an actual delay here that long? That could be pretty serious. So let's figure out what's going on. When it and remember that one was actually the this is all projects. So this is the oldest and it will tell you which project it's on. So it's not just the oldest on one project, it's the oldest on your whole account. So it really does give you a good picture as to what's going on with that. A lot of this data is collected by RFIs and submittals, sure, but a good chunk is coming through the issues tool. So don't let that name pigeonhole your workflow. This is a communication tool and it can reference almost everywhere else on your project. It can reference files, photos, schedules, RFIs, submittals, potential change orders, forms, and assets. There's only a handful of things it can't reference, and then there are some things that can reference it. Like if you're doing a markup, you can reference it, but you can't reference um, or certain other things that can reference it, such as if you're in a like with the RFIs can't reference a markup, but if you were in a markup, you can reference it. Same thing with like a schedule. When you're in a schedule activity, you can reference an issue, but you can't reference a schedule activity from within the issue, just because there's so many schedule activities, that list would be very difficult to discern. So instead, you have to go to the schedule activity to reference the issue. So there's more it connects to, just not exactly from within itself. I hope that makes sense. All right, it gives you accountability. Why does it give you accountability? Because it gives you a person responsible, and that can be a role or a company, not just an individual person. and it can give you a due date. So when does this need to be resolved by? So again, we've got the what, right? Whether the title and the description. So the what, the who, the when, and then there's root cause if you scroll down for the why. But you can create these to just have a question. And why might this be helpful? Well, we need to talk about this. So it's like, all right, I have a question. Let's talk about this. Instead of sending an email and that email splinters, you can have all that communication in one place because this has a chat feature. So you can just chat back and forth in it. And no one else can see the issue other than, aside from project admins, those involved in it, unless they're given explicit permission. It's just the people involved in the issue, so therefore the chatting or the talking back and forth, they can see it. So giving a root cause in here is going to be incredibly valuable because that root cause starts to say, okay, why was this an issue? Well, there's a documentation incomplete, code compliance problem. So basically filtering out the root cause, like having that root cause filled out, gives you that live mortem. So no more post mortem at the end of a project or periodically to figure out what's going wrong. It updates live data. So as long as you're using that root cause and filling it out, you will be able to figure out what's going on and course correct quickly. So the live mortem, pretty close to Halloween, a little zone.